Hi, my name is Dr. Madden. I'm one of the osteopaths at Health House Clinics. I'm joined by Dr. Katelyn Begley, one of our chiropractors at Health House Clinics. Thanks for downloading our 5 steps or 5 exercises to fix your lower back. This is a video series to also take you through it in case you want to read through the PDF download. The only thing you really need for this is a flat surface, and then I'll cue you on what you need to do. An extra addition can be what we call an over ball. This is a common Pilates used ball, but you can also use a $2 or a $3 blow-up ball from Kmart. Like, I think my daughter has a frozen one, my son has a fall one. Cars. Any of these can do the same thing, but you do need to be able to add and subtract air to it. An over ball is basically a tiny Swiss ball, so we can add or subtract air to this. Let's start without the ball and start doing some exercises. So if you've got acute lower back pain, or you're in a fair state with some lower back pain, we might start, I'm actually going to on your back. You might start on your back because often it's the most comfortable position for you to be in anyway. And when you're on your back, we always start with knees bent, and they can be at 45 degrees, 30 degrees, whatever's comfortable. I'm going to ask Katelyn here to bring your feet together, and I'm going to ask you to place your hands by your side because you want to be nice and balanced. You probably get to be bracing anyway because you're in pain. First things we want to do is try and introduce movement, and all of our movements are designed to be pain-free because if you're in pain or if any of these movements create pain, you restart the pain process, which is only going to hinder your progress. So, knees bent, body relaxed, everything nice and relaxed. All we're going to do is some very simple, gentle rotation side to side. Okay? The whole point of this is to introduce a little bit of rotation through those the lumbar segments, through the discs, and to have the muscles work without overfiring or going to a spasm. So once you've been doing this for about 30 seconds to a minute, you can start to increase the range. Once again, only your pain-free range. So if your pain starts beyond 20 or 30 degrees, stay in that early range. But if you can handle it, let's start to go a little bit further. Okay? If you've been doing this for 30 or 40 seconds, you can then start to increase even more. And the goal is to try and have you all the way on your side. Now, true technique is watching shoulder lift. We don't want the shoulders to come off. We don't want people straining through the neck. But really, just introduce movement. That's all we're after first. Okay, and then we can start to cue things later on. So if you've been doing this for about a minute and it feels okay, how's it feel, Katelyn?
Very good.
Even though you presented with no lower back pain, but let's pretend for this example you did. We can also take this into a single stretch. So we're going to have you straighten this leg. This arm is going to stay balanced. We're going to have this arm grab hold of the knee or leg and pull it across the body. Right, now I'm going to be here just to make sure Katelyn doesn't fall off the bed, even though our viewers may wish we can push her off the bed. But you can do some nice big lumbar stretches. Let's do it the opposite direction. Right, just to show them. No, put it down. And we're just gently pulling across. Once again, pain-free. Are you feeling a stretch?
No. Oh, sorry, stretch, yes. No
stretch,
pain.
no pain. Right. While we're in this position, we can also do a glute stretch because often with lower back pathologies, the glute or the bum muscles will also light up. So staying in this position, we can place one foot on the opposite knee, known as figure 4 position, and you can just relax there because that may already be inducing a stretch on your right side. If it's not, we can increase it by grabbing hold of our thigh and pulling down. Okay? If this is still pain-free, you can also start to add a little bit of rotation in this position. Okay? Let's bring that foot down. And now let's keep the foot there in that glute stretch position. We can also add or increase our lever with lumbar rotation by being in this position. Okay. The next one we're going to do is on our tummy. Alright, so we're going to go into a McKenzie maneuver or McKenzie protocol. Often with discs, the disc is bulging backwards or towards the roof in our example here. So what we want to try and do is increase extension through the lower back to try and push that disc back anteriorly. So Katelyn's can have her hands in what we call sphinx or cobra position. Gently squeezing the glutes, and if you're unsure how to squeeze the glutes, you can push your pubic bone into the bed or into the floor or mattress or whatever you're working on. We're going to ask Katelyn to gently come up into extension just before pain and come back down. And you repeat this as many times a day, as many reps as you can. Okay? If you've worked through 20 or 30 reps and this is starting to feel pain-free, or you're progressing like the next day or two after pain, you can start to increase your range. Key parts here though, glutes stay contracted, pelvis stays on the bed. Okay? And then you can work your way up into a full cobra, which is where your arms are locked, pelvis is still on making contact with the bed, and our glutes are clenched and lowering back down. There is your Mackenzie, exercise 2, 3, or whatever number I'm up to. The final exercise, we're going to have Katelyn up into all four position. We're going to try and, just come a little bit more forward. In this position, we're going to try and make sure we have equal weight between left and right sides and equal weight between our hips and our shoulders. Okay? Katelyn's currently in a neutral spinal position. We're going to do, what do you call it? Happy cat, sad cat? Yeah. Alright, happy cat, sad cat, where basically we make the back make a smile, so we're going to gently roll the pelvis posteriorly and sink into it, only slightly and only to our pain-free range. And then, like a flame is burning here, we're going to try and lift off the flame and back down into happy cat and up into sad cat. Right. You can translate this into a postural exercise as well, where we go back to our neutral spinal position and going back to shoulder retraction, we can sink in through the shoulders and then push through the shoulders for shoulder retraction, maintaining a neutral spine. You also want to be breathing during all of this. Don't be a breath holder. Alright, you'll pass out before the end of the video. It's not great. So we've gone through a few exercises today. Here are some key essentials. Here are some key essentials that will get you out of your early stages of back pain. If you want emails, if you want some upgrades, there's also a download just below this video that will have the second lot or the advanced lot of exercises which will take you through shortly. Hope your pain's feeling better. If not, give me a call. Otherwise, thanks for watching. All good. One last thing, which I forgot to mention. I introduced the oval ball and completely forgot to use it. Let's introduce some exercises with the oval ball or with your little frozen cars, Finding Nemo or Thor ball. So I'm going to ask Katelyn to lie on her back for me. Often with lower back flare-ups, the posterior muscles or your back muscles and your glute muscles have gone into a spasm or have gone tighter than they should be. Okay? What we want to try and do is stretch them, but we can also recruit the front muscles to take the pressure off the back muscles. Okay, so we want to today introduce some light ab contraction, but the abs work really, really nicely with your groin muscles or with the adductor muscles, hence the oval ball. So what we can do is have Katelyn lying on her back, everything's in a nice neutral position. I'm going to place this oval ball between her knees and I want you to squeeze that ball with about 50% pressure. Katelyn's already started to fire the groin muscles. You're probably starting to feel a little bit of a light abdominal contraction. In this position, you can also gently do a tiny crunch where you lift the head up and back down. And now we're starting to get some abdominal contraction while we're co-contracting the adductors, which is a really nice sling to take the pressure off the lower back. So here's exercise 1. We can grade this up higher. We can have you going into a sit-up, right? Let's maybe not go that high.
Let's go straight into it. Okay,
the camera's recording, you've got a good video. So we might come up into a half sit-up to there and back down. Alright, even less than that. Let's go half of that into a crunch. There we go. And back down. Okay. Katelyn's doing it at the moment, so she needs some core cueing. That'll be in another video. So that's our first exercise to try and get the adductors and the abdominal muscles on to offload how tight the lower back is. Another really, really nice, it's not even a technique, it's just a nice position to be in, is when your back is flared up, everything is squashing together, so the spine feels like it's compressed or loaded. If we can add some gentle traction to that, it can also take you out of pain. Now, lying here is already no pressure through the spine, but we're not really getting any traction through the spine. So taking this over ball, which is a little bit too full of air, so I'm just going to drop some of this air out. Katelyn, I'm going to get you to lift your bottom up. You can place this over ball and relax. We might need to jimmy it around so it's right in the middle of your sacrum. But we want to take this over ball and place it, here's one I prepared earlier, right on the sacrum, so on that triangle bone at the base of the spine. And the whole point of doing this is it allows Katelyn to sink into the table, so it provides light traction of those discs as she's going into that rounded position of the lumbar spine. What are you feeling?
It's literally, yeah, just like someone stretching out.
Just a nice, gentle
really nice
traction. Often because the spine, here's what I prepared earlier, has gone into that compressed or loaded position, all we're doing is some gentle traction to lengthen the muscles, but we still want to use the muscles without them going into that locked up or spasm position. So we have taken the spine into a curved position, okay, with our pelvis in a posterior tilt. What we can then do is turn the muscles on to gently bring the pelvis to neutral and let them go again into traction. And how we're going to do that is I want you to put all of your pressure through your pelvis gently into the ball. That's it, and relax. But I don't want you to arch as hard as you did. So you relax first, then breathe in. As you breathe out, you're going to gently push the pelvis into the ball. That's it, and then let go. Breathe in. As you breathe out, pressure into the ball. Only when you breathe out, that's enough. Breathe in as you relax and sink into it. Breathe out, pressure into the ball. So a nice little pelvic rocking movement to get the muscles firing without going into that spasm position. Hope you enjoy the exercises. Give us some feedback. Thanks for watching. No, darling. There's the thumbs up.